Hi, I'm Bill Kelly. Tonight on Land and Sea, the good little plant gone bad. In Trouty, Trinity Bay, two competing fish merchants have had a big falling out. They don't like each other personally, and they couldn't get along on the job. Now the local plant is in limbo, and each is accusing the other of driving it under. Caught in the middle of this dogfight are the 80 to 100 people who depend on the local plant for their livelihood.
30 million pounds.
The combatants, Dr. Cosmos Ho, the Surimi man, owner of the Terranova Fisheries plant in Clarenville, Mr. Les Pottle, until a couple of months ago, the operator of the fish plant in Trouty. Both men want the plant, but Dr. Ho appears to be the favorite contender. He has lots of money, lots of backers, lots of power, and he owns the building at Trouty. Mr. Pottle is the underdog. He has no money, no backers, no building, and he's deep in debt. But don't count Les Pottle out just yet. He's still got a fighting chance. Pottle owns the processing licenses at Trouty, and without the licenses, you can't operate the plant. Trouty first came to our attention last year when we heard about a little plant there that was going great guns. It's a former squid drying plant converted to crab and groundfish. Sounds interesting, but finding it proves troublesome. We've looked all over town. It's nowhere to be found. Excuse me, sir. How are you doing today?
Not too bad.
Can you tell us how we can get to the crab plant?
Yes, you just go along the road a little ways there now, take the road to the right, and that road will lead you right into the lab.
Well, we've been all over the place trying to find that today.
Is that right?
Yes, it's well hidden, isn't it?
It is so.
We expected we'd find it down in the water, but no such luck.
No, and more hidden in the woods.
It's a strange place for a plant, isn't it?
Not too many plants you see in the woods.
No, for sure. Thanks very much, sir. See you again.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you.
A curious place for a plant, but the operating arrangement is a bit odd too. Dr. Cosmos Ho owns the building, but he saw a better opportunity in Clarenville and leased the Trouty operation to Les Pottle. The main product is crab, trucked in from other parts of the province. Most of the workers are on the crab line, but the plant is also doing a small amount of groundfish, and Pottle has ambitious plans to utilize other species.
We started up here as a crab operation in 1983, and this year we've had it the lump roe and capelin, small amount of capelin. At the moment we have about 60 people in the plant here right now. That's groundfish and crab. The section of groundfish is running around 20 people, and we're running about 40 people on crab. That's one shift. We have a second shift, which is just equal amount on the second shift. For the groundfish, we've been putting through a fair amount of groundfish since we got started on it. But our area that's been allocated for groundfish is very limited to what we can do. We need to expand our plant to really get going on groundfish.
A warm summer morning on Trinity Bay. Len Connolly and his partner George Hiscock, two of Pottle's best fishermen, are hauling their lump nets. The bay is full of lump and the fishery is a real bonanza. Demand for lump roe has never been higher and prices are approaching $2 a pound, 4 times what the fishermen were getting only a couple of years ago. Who'd ever think the ugly lump would become so valuable? Everybody's making a small fortune. With a full load on a beautiful day, the steam back to the wharf is a pure pleasure. And when the fishermen eventually get their catch to the Trouty plant, it'll be worth pure gold. The fun's over. Time to get down to the business of gutting the fish. It's done in much the same way as you'd clean a cod, Except in this case, you keep the guts and throw away the fish. The fish itself is no good for anything, not even meal. But those swollen bellies are full of eggs, and that's how you get your caviar. We Newfoundlanders aren't very fussy about it, but over in Europe, it's an expensive delicacy. You know, when you think about it, this is a worrisome fishery. We're actually killing off the breeders before they get a chance to spawn. How long can this kind of fishery survive, especially with so many Newfoundlanders getting into it? Well, that's a future story. Our fishermen are preoccupied with the present, and the present means getting the roe aboard their truck and over to the plant as quickly as possible. Here at the plant, they're more concerned with the present too, and that means taking all the roe they can get. Once it's weighed, the fishermen will be paid and on their way. It looks like they've got about 1,000 pounds. Not a bad day's pay by any standard.
1,022 pounds. 1,022 pounds. Very good.
Processing the roe is a really simple operation, labor-intensive too. It's much like sifting topsoil for your lawn. Blood, membrane, and other impurities are screened out, and you're left with the precious eggs. This is what the product looks like once the screening is finished. Then you weigh it again, add the precise amount of salt, and cure it in big 100-kilogram barrels.
We have 25 barrels that we've saved for an experimental project that we hope to get into very, very shortly.
Right now, the Trouty plant is shipping out the roe for further processing in Europe. But Les Pottle intends to put in a finishing line to make lump roe caviar. That would bring in a lot more dollars and create a good few more jobs.
Hopefully, within the next 4 to 6 weeks, we're going to have a program at the Fisheries College in conjunction with the Provincial Department of Fisheries, where we're going to take some of this lump roe and develop it into caviar, put it into little desalted, color it, put it into little jars, and then do a market survey with it. And hopefully, if we can get the thing off the ground over the winter months, I'm open to be able to take the balance of our lump roe we see here, the 25 barrels, and to produce caviar and try and get it into the markets, so that next year then, instead of shipping our lump roe out in 100-kilo barrels, we'll be sending it out in little jars.
Now, even as is, the 25 barrels here are worth about $10,000.
About $10,000 as you see it here now.
But I mean, if you were producing
Well,
anything else.
if you were doing it into caviar, I'm not sure. You have roughly 230 pounds of caviar in a barrel, and 16 ounces to a pound, and $10 to an ounce. Now, that's not exactly what's going to turn out to be in final analysis, because you're going to have a lot of development and production costs and marketing costs. But, you know, figuratively speaking, it's the figure that I've heard quoted in many places. You pay about $10 an ounce for it.
When you talk about new ideas, I can see you getting excited there. Is that the
That's
draw
what this
for you?
business is all about, as far as I'm concerned, is taking a raw material that we have in this province and developing it into a finished product where you retain the greatest number of dollars into, you create more jobs, more employment, and you retain more of the dollar back to your company, and that's the name of the game.
Oh, such high hopes. So many plans for the future. But storm clouds are gathering. Hopes will be dashed. The future is in jeopardy. That story when we return with the good little plant gone bad. It's midwinter, and we're on our way back to Trouty. But our first stop is here, at Dr. Cosmos Ho's plant in Clarenville. Everything's changed since our last trip. Pottle is out, Ho's in, and the fight is on for Les Pottle's licenses. Ho wouldn't talk to us himself. Instead, he designated Bert Fry, his Clarenville manager, as spokesman. Fry talks and acts like a man who's in the driver's seat. According to him, it's only a matter of time.
First, I would say we got in excess of 130 applications here for people looking for work with us, so that should give you a good indication that in that area that they need work and that they want us there.
And what are you telling people that what can they expect from that plant if you get it?
Then first and foremost, we should be able to supply up towards 100 seasonal jobs, and within the next year or two we'll be going into secondary processing, which would be year-round jobs, and then they can really get some benefit out of it.
Well, the main problem is they didn't pay
In
me.
Trouty, there's no trouble finding workers prepared to sign on with Fry. People like Roger King are mad at Pottle. They say he still owes them money from last year.
I was working there for a while, and the checks got backed up, and they told us to work on, and in order to push the product out to get the money into the plant for to pay us, and ended up not getting paid at all.
How much money does he owe you now?
A little over $1,000.
Have you tried to get it?
Oh, we've tried, yeah.
How?
Well, we went to the Labor Board and try and put our own personal pressure on them, you know.
Do you expect to get your money?
I doubt it.
How do people feel? How do you feel?
Well, I figured it was, gee, if he had either a bit of guts or a bit of passion as hard at all, he'd pay us by Christmas, you know. I mean, way it is now, in a small community, too. Not much work around.
A devastating year.
Les Pottle, who's grown a beard since the last time we saw him, seems genuinely surprised that the workers have turned against him. He thought he was doing them a favor.
This situation arose where quite a few of the crab plant workers needed another 4 to 5 stamps to get their UIC for the coming winter. We had some boats that were fishing in Twillingate in the early spring, and they restarted fishing crab again in September. So we reopened the plant in order for these workers to get their 4 and 5 stamps, knowing that we were going to lose more money in addition to what we already lost. But we did it, and we told the workers at the time that they would not be able to be paid until the product was sold and we got our money back from the U.S. on it. We kept it going for one month in order to qualify the balance of our workers, crab plant workers, for 4 to 5 stamps.
And these are the same people now who've gone to the Labour Relations Board?
As far as I know, it is.
How does that make you feel?
Well, I mean, they expect to be paid, and they have a right to be paid. The fact that they were told at the beginning, I guess they've changed their mind about it since.
Yet another contradiction. This story is full of them. If you were to listen to Pottle and to Ho's people, you'd think they were talking about 2 different plants. They can't seem to agree on anything. Ho accuses Pottle of mismanagement. Pottle says Ho did him in by charging exorbitant rent and by drying up his fish supply. They can't even agree on how much money the plant owes. Ho says it's about $700,000. Pottle says it isn't nearly that much.
Well, it's less than $500,000, and that includes his claim for rent, $250,000. We have a loan guarantee by the province, which is covered, or $200,000, which is covered by the equipment that the plant has. And while it's owed to the government, the equipment's still there to cover the cost of the $200,000. It's not nearly as bad as what you've been led to believe. And we owe some money to some creditors, but it's not an insurmountable amount of money that we cannot overcome. And we have an agreement with our creditors. They haven't moved on us. They could have moved on us last year when these debts were incurred. They could have moved on us before now. I mean, they're giving this company a chance to survive, which Dr. O is not trying to do. As far as I'm concerned, that plant is a well-run little plant as you're going to find anywhere in the province. You've been in the plant, you've taken the films there, you've seen how that plant has been running. There's been no mismanagement there. And as far as I'm concerned, if Dr. O is saying that there was mismanagement, then he just doesn't know what he's talking about.
Over at the plant, they've torn down Pottle shingle and replaced it with their own. But if Fry expects to be up and running by the spring, he'll have to do some fancy going. Inside, as you're about to see, the plant is only an empty shell. All the government-guaranteed processing machinery is gone. Pottle took the gear with him when he left, saying he intends to start a new plant. But Hoseman claims Pottle is too far gone to make any kind of comeback.
We looked at the situation with Les after last season. It didn't look good, but Dr. O, being a generous man with Les, give him another year to try to work out his problems.
But even though, as you say, he owed a lot of money.
He owed a lot of money.
But you extended more credit, is that it?
Yes.
And allowed him to stay in business for the extra
Stay
year.
in this building without paying any rent or anything like that.
We've paid him over $100,000 in cash. We've paid him $150,000 in extra commissions, and he has $80,000 worth of processing equipment, refrigeration equipment in the plant, which we left there when we moved out. And that's something like $330,000. That's actually, if my memory serves me right, more than that was owed on the building when we moved in there.
Now, let me get this straight. Are you saying that he charged you $150,000 in extra commissions?
Yes, our agreement with him, or with Terra Nova Fisheries, was 5%. We've actually ended up paying 10. So there's an extra $150,000. It works out to approximately $150,000.
So what are you saying? You were snookered out of $150,000?
Well, we've ended up paying 10% when we should have only been paying 5%.
All right, what's happening here, though? Were you cheated out of the money, or were you outsmarted or outwitted? What happened?
Well, I think it's basically the way the marketing was done, that he was marketing through Connors Brothers in the U.S., and they were remitting back less than 5%. And of course, he then charged us an extra 5%, which means that we in total pay 10%. In the other broker, we would only pay 5%. But we were in a bind and had to have marketing. Our cash flow was such that we just could not stop in midstream and switch to another broker.
We were marketing some of his product. We were letting him use our brand name. We ran into a few quality problems in the market, so we refused to let him use our name.
The brand name anymore?
Yes.
Now, did you get a cut of that?
A standard marketing fee of 5%.
I see. So there was no fee over and above what is normal in the industry?
Just normal.
Mr. Powell, Dr. Ho has told everyone in Trouty, except yourself apparently at this stage, that he intends to operate that plant, that he's going to put people to work, he's going to do all kinds of things. Do you think that was, do you suspect any ulterior motive in the way that you've been treated?
Certainly looks that way. The way that the thing's been unfolded this last year, it certainly appears that way to me. We had a good little ground fish operation set up in Catalina. He moved in and took over that resource. And during 1986, we shipped them out all the excess fish, ground fish that we had in our collection system. And in 1987, when we needed fish, needed badly, he shipped it elsewhere.
You're saying he took your fishermen away?
Yes.
Now,
in Catalina.
Now, he claims that he didn't approach your fishermen, that they came to him.
Well, there's such thing as honor amongst thieves, and if I, as a fish plant operator, and other fishermen came to me that I knew were fishing, the least I would do was make a phone call to them and talk to them. I mean, he didn't have the courtesy of giving me a phone call.
Then the first thing, there is not enough fish out there to go around to all the plants. And it is a cutthroat business, to say the least. Right now, if you don't give fishermen service, they ain't going to sell to you. There's another company waiting on the wharf to buy from them. We gave Les fish when he never added the process. Any fishermen we picked up that used to sell to him, I always talked to Les about it before I did it.
Did you, in fact, though, pick up extra fishermen at his expense?
No, I picked up extra fishermen because there were fishermen out there that were very dissatisfied with the way he was doing business.
When you say dissatisfied, what do you mean by that?
Then they weren't getting paid on time. They weren't getting service with regards to any gear they wanted or repairs they needed for their boat. They couldn't get no help from them.
So your position is that you got these fishermen, if they hadn't gone to you, they would have gone to somebody else?
Sure, they would have went to Arbor Grace or FPI or some of the other companies buying in the area.
Would you acknowledge, though, that because you were able to pick up these extra fishermen, for whatever reason, that in effect meant that he didn't have the supply of fish and wasn't able to make the profits that he might have ordinarily made?
No. It's free enterprise out there, and we give Les every fair chance.
Now, at this point, you have the building, but he has the licenses, and they're worth gold in the fishing industry these days, aren't they?
Yes.
And what you need now are licenses.
We need licenses. If we got a building, like you said, but without licenses, that's all we got is a building. But, there should be no reason why a person can keep licenses, carry around in his back pocket when there's people out there needs employment. They put money into the economy.
Now, hasn't he told people though around here that he's going to be back next year with the equipment he's taken out of this building and that he will be back in business?
Oh, he told me personally that he's going to build a new building. He claims to this one he didn't make any money here, he couldn't pay us, he couldn't pay his employees, so why do we want to go back into the fish business?
I've had my ups and downs before, and I'll take it on the chin and restart again. I've been in this business for a long time, and I don't know any other business, and I don't intend to get out of it. I intend to carry on. I have a plan, and it is simply this, that I've got to go back and build another plant. You know, I have nothing else for me to do other than start all over again.
With those licenses?
Exactly.
Are these licenses being used as bargaining chips at this stage? Are you trying to reach any kind of a deal?
We're open to any kind of a compromise. We've made several proposals to them, which I don't want to get into at this point in time because they're ongoing.
And to start out next spring, first thing he needs a building. He need operating capital. He need good relations with the workers in the area, the fishermen. So I don't think he got any of this.
If we come back here next year at the same time, what will be the score? Will he be back in business?
Hopefully.
Will things be better than they are right now?
Well, they're going to be much smaller, and hopefully they're going to be better.
Can't get much worse, I guess, can it?
Not at the moment.
Can Les Pottle survive? Is a compromise still possible? Or will Dr. Ho take over the licenses and run the plant himself? It will probably come down to a decision by this man, the Minister of Fisheries, Tom Rideout.
Well, first of all, let me say that I got a great deal of personal sympathy for Les Pottle. He's been in the fishing industry for a long time. However, my first concerns, I think, have to be twofold. First, I have to try to find a way to ensure that that plant is in operation at the beginning of the fishing season in 1988. And secondly, because of the unique situation surrounding the licenses for this particular operation, I have to ensure that whatever the final decision is on the licensing is consistent and legal. So I'm seeking advice now on that matter, but my prime concern is to ensure that the plant is back in operation at the beginning of the fishery in 1988. I don't believe there's another situation like this in all of Newfoundland and Labrador. Actually, a normal situation would be if a company was in financial difficulty. The operating company, which held the licenses, also owns the facility, owns the plant. In this case, as you know, that's not the situation. Dr. Ho owns the facility, and the operating company, of which Mr. Pottle is the majority shareholder, holds the licenses. Mr. Pottle obviously has grave difficulty. We've been trying to get the two shareholders, Mr. Pottle and Dr. Ho, to make some kind of an accommodation, and I have to say quite candidly that we haven't been very successful. Dr. Ho owns the building, owns the facility, so I think it would be fair to speculate that if there is such a thing as an inside track, then obviously he would have an inside track in the sense that he owns the facility.
But you are saying that that plant will be open in the spring?
We're going to, I can say that categorically, that the plant will be open in the spring. We're going to ensure that there is an operator there, whether it's one of the present shareholders or whether there's some other operator. We're going to ensure that there's an operator there by the beginning of the fishery in 1988.